smiling at the dancing guy in the tech box back there, telling us it's time to get started. So let's all arrive together by taking 3 deep inhales and even deeper exhales. So let's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. Welcome, friends.
And good morning. My name is Mybrit Eagle, and with Brian Fredrickson, we are your WAs today. We want to extend a warm welcome to our guest, the Reverend Deborah Assis, whom Reverend Gale explained was a Taoist Episcopalian, and who has been in the church and out of the church, Presbyterian and Taoist, progressive and emerging, and always in conversation with the mystery. And one mystery this morning is how we can be so grateful for everything one moment and take it all for granted the next. So I thought we'd reenact that wonderful imaginative exercise. So let's imagine that no one is in the parking lot right now looking over us. Imagine that no one is in the back filming and ready to audit the film of our morning service. Imagine that no one has prepared coffee and that in the foyer there are no greeters and that the Steinway is lifeless. Now, we take a deep breath and we realize that our great blessing is that none of that is so. That you yourselves volunteer and you continue to animate the life of this congregation. Lydia will offer music, and Jill has dressed the chancel, and Aaron is in the office, and volunteers have prepared the coffee, and our dear Elizabeth is still opening her welcoming arms to newcomers. So out of absence, presence, and our gratitude deepens, and we have placed our heart in a holy place. By coincidence, that happens to be our first hymn. So if you can find in your turquoise, the little one, page 1008, you'll find our opening hymn, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, and rise as you are willing and able. Our opening reading this morning is by Maria Rainier Rilke, and it's translated by Anita Barrows and Joanna Macy, who you know died this July. All will come again into its strength, the fields undivided, the waters undammed, the trees towering, the walls built low, and in the valleys, people as strong and as varied as the land. And no churches where God is imprisoned and lamented like a trapped and wounded animal. The houses welcoming all who knock, in a sense of boundless offering in all relations and in you and me. No yearning for an afterlife, no looking beyond, no belittling of death, but only a longing for what belongs to us, and serving earth lest we remain unused.
We light our chalice this morning, and the folks at home may light yours as well, to words by Reverend Richard Gilbert called The Chalice of Our Being. Each morning we hold out our chalice of being to be filled with the graces of life that abound, air to breathe, food to eat, companions to love. We give back in gratitude, if we can, something like what is poured into our chalice of being for those who abide with us and will follow. Each morning we hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back.
So beautiful. Good morning. Good morning. In the spirit of gratitude, I am grateful for this opportunity to be with you, to be in this lovely sanctuary, though there's a little part of me that would like to be in that tree house. It's kind of cool. I am grateful for the many and varied ways that we humans gather. We attempt to give form to the formless and words to the wordless and find meaning and value and purpose in our lives together. And so thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the special way that you gather. During the civil rights movement, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King ignited a fire in the people's hearts when he preached, and you all know this. I have a dream in which people of every race, color, tradition, ethnicity, gender, or sexual orientation belong and live as beloved community. Now, King never said anything about utopian community. He never said anything about a happily ever after life. He said beloved community, a community that makes room for all the people and, now underline and cares for all the people. And to this very day, people of all varieties, but especially oppressed people, are compelled to stand up, to have courage, and to act for the hope of MLK's dream. During the Vietnam War, the musician, poet, social activist John Lennon sang, "Imagine." We've already done a fair amount of imagining here this morning. Y'all know Imagine, right? Yeah, it's a clarion call that pierces the cacophony of the cultural and political division and violence and offers a vision of peace and unity that speaks through to the people's hearts. And in Lennon's time, it became another unifying call to hope. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No of us, only sky. People living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, a fellowship of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
It has become a tradition in our UU community to honor the earth, to acknowledge its changing climate and our interdependence, to honor the Pueblo people and to say we are ever so grateful for their stewardship, to honor the suffering of those experiencing the horrors of ongoing violence, and to honor the struggles of we who are keeping the embers burning of a democracy imperiled. And in this spirit, we lift to our memory the rock imprinted with fossils of the earth's endurance. We lift the rock of our thankfulness to the Pueblo people and acknowledge that this building rests on their still unceded land. We lift the geode encrusted with violet, its crystals the hope and the promise of peace, and we lift the rock of democracy, whose cleavage reminds us that while we seem divided, we are nonetheless bound together.
Thanks. As you know, each Sunday we set aside a period of time where people have written joys and sorrows in this book or sent them in online. And it's a time that we share those because we know that sharing joys multiply, and sharing burdens, sometimes they're just easier to bear. So for my Brit, we have a candle here of sorrow for North Carolina's Guatemala Mayan immigrants who saved our lives during masked COVID and now face an assault by the ICE police. From Deborah, candle of joy. It's Artemis's 6th birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Artemis. We have a sorrow from Kathy Varner's 90-year-old father broke his hip. He's going into surgery today. His family would greatly appreciate thoughts and prayers for quick and safe recovery. We send those prayers along. Richard Block writes, I am overwhelmed by the multitude of birthday wishes all of you have sent me at this time of my life. I hope that I will be so remembered again when I get old. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am warmed by the thoughtfulness, Dick. We have a number of birthdays this week. Richard Polisi, April Gifford, Mim Chapman, Michael Collins, and Jean Darling celebrate birthdays this week. We wish you all a very happy birthday. And as Gail always says, it's such a joy to serve here because it seems every Sunday we have a number of visitors passing through town and want to pay us a visit on Sunday morning, which we love. And we have a number this morning. If you want to raise your hand when I call your name, you may do so. We'll find you no matter where you are. Victor Nelson from Santa Fe is here. Victor, welcome. Dan Ramsey from Minneapolis, welcome. Daniel from Santa Fe and Asher. Webb Jones and Susan Mead from Santa Fe. Katarina Wong from Santa Fe. Len Schreiner from Rowe, New Mexico. Len. And Sarah Schinbach from Santa Fe. Welcome. And any of those who didn't sign the book who are visiting, Welcome. And now we'll sing Spirit of Life. Very good. I wish Reverend Gale was here. We do light one more candle for all those joys and sorrows that were not mentioned, but we all carry in our hearts. Now we'll sing Spirit of Life. If you need the words, it's in the gray hymnal, page 123.
Well, for this morning's meditation, I am going to say the words again of John Lennon's Imagine. But this time, as you listen to the words, I would invite you to notice which particular word or phrase touches you, stirs you up, either attracts you or perhaps even repulses you. And then as we spend a little time in quiet, just let that word or phrase have its way with you. So if you would, if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, take a deep breath, drawing that breath in all the way through your body and your torso, to your thighs and calves, to the bottoms of your feet. And then breathing all the way out through your legs and body, through the crown of your head. Allowing your body to settle into that chair and letting the chair do all of the work of supporting your body. And imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion, too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Our reading is taken from the New Testament, Luke, from 17. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus was going through the region between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered a village, 10 lepers approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." When he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well."
I speak to you in the name of all that is holy. Standing on the shoulders of Martin Luther King and John Lennon, I would like to invite you to take a leap with me and imagine that the stories in the Bible are actually wisdom tales, not to be read literally, certainly not historical documents or detailed biographical narratives, but stories intended to be wisdom for the ages. Because you see, we humans live by our stories. The stories we tell about who we are, how we are, where we belong, and what matters. And so with that in mind, let's consider this story that Magbrit just read and engage it in the midrashic tradition of the rabbis, which is to say, to fill in the gaps. There's some gaps in that story, yeah, and to find a deeper meaning in that text. So we meet Jesus, well-educated Jew, very well-educated Jew, in fact, who has some serious issues with the political and religious officials of his time. His issue is with the misuse of power and position and privilege of the elite. So what if Jesus is walking in this place between Samaria and Galilee, and what if he's, this is now known as the West Bank, by the way. What if Jesus is imagining a world with no countries, no border between Samaria and Galilee, or Israel and Palestine, or, Russia and Ukraine, the United States and Mexico? And I wonder if Jesus imagines a time when, the color or the condition of a person's skin doesn't determine whether they're welcomed or tracked down, shackled, imprisoned, and deported as lepers to live in exile. And I wonder if Jesus imagines a time when there's no greed or hunger, because no matter how many people gather around Jesus, everyone always has enough to eat when everyone shares what they have. And I wonder if Jesus imagines a time in the world in which love replaces resentment and revenge, even religion. A world in which all the people live in peace. And I wonder if it's time for us to imagine a new and better future in which there are no lepers. In this wisdom tale, Jesus doles out mercy equitably to the 9 rule-following, purebred, ungrateful Jews from Galilee, and to the single, non-conforming, mixed breed, grateful Samaritan from Samaria. Now, it's important to know that the Jews hated the Samaritans, didn't count them as like real people. So I wonder if it's time for us to stop identifying with that grateful Samaritan. You didn't expect that, did you? Patting ourselves on the back for being good and righteous people, while casting dispersions on those ungrateful others. We know who they are. Those people who are not like us. I wonder if it's time for us to imagine no countries, nothing to kill or die for, no religion too, no belief to confess or to protest, no loyalty oath to swear or to refuse, just a whole world to share. Beloved community. Now that, of course, begs the question, what would Sunday morning look like with beloved community? Well, I suspect some folks might light this chalice. Some other folks might make Holy Communion with bread and wine, or with coffee and the Sunday Times. Yes. It's all beloved community, people, when we choose to see with the eyes of our hearts rather than with our Harry Potter sorting hats, dividing everybody into classes. So let me be clear, beloved community is about unity, not uniformity. It's about community, not conformity. The Samaritans do not have to become Jews. The Jews don't have to become Samaritans. Beloved community includes and transcends all difference. And, this is another one of the important ands, and doles out mercy equitably. This is one story. So let's hold this story over here. Now I want to consider a very different story. The story of white Christian nationalists. A story that is very compelling for the people who choose to live by it. In their book, The Flag and the Cross, Philip Gorski and Samuel Perry summarized the white Christian nationalist story this way, and I quote, "America was founded as a Christian nation by white men who were traditional Christians, who based the nation's founding documents on Christian principles. The United States is blessed by God, which is why it has been so successful. And the nation has a special role to play in God's plan for humanity. But these blessings are threatened by cultural degradation from un-American influences, both inside and outside our borders. End quote. The dream of white Christian nationalism is exclusionary, and it has been in play for a very long time. The white Christian nationalist story of a homogeneous theocracy has been part of the American story since colonial times. But you see, the thing is, it has been for the most part underground. Yeah, there have been, bursts of the Ku Klux Klan and John Birch Society, but mostly this story is an underground story. It's unconscious. In Jungian terms, it would be called the shadow of the American dream. You're nodding. White Christian nationalists have weaponized Christianity, using Christian symbols and language to justify violence, because they believe it is their God-given duty. This is their story. It is their God-given duty to make the United States a Christian nation, and to do so by whatever means necessary. Now, if you think you're hearing some echoes from like 1,000 years ago, the Crusades were sort of rolling across Europe, you just passed this morning's hearing test. White Christian nationalism is a radicalized political party that has weaponized Christian symbols to consolidate power. That's what it is. And here's the thing. The shadow of the American dream has roots in the 5th century, people, when the Emperor Constantine declared Christianity the state religion. And then if we sort of leap forward to about 532 years ago, this was exacerbated by the then Bishop of Rome, Alexander VI, who in 1493, that date might ring something in your mind there, in 1493, he declared the doctrine of discovery. And what was the doctrine of discovery? This was an edict that he gave to Spain and Portugal, declaring that any land not inhabited by Christians, wonder what that might have been, is available to be discovered, claimed, and exploited by Christian rulers. The Pope said so. The doctrine of discovery was essentially a permission slip for the European colonizers to appropriate land and to convert non-Christian people. And in fact, this is made explicit in the United States Constitution that protects the rights of people. But, oh dear, what is the definition of people? Free, white property owning. Who does that leave out? Well, I see a fair amount of us female type, not property owning people, because women couldn't own property, any enslaved person. So from the inception of this country, we have a whole class of lepers. People not considered full people. This is the shadow of the American dream, and it is coming to light today as 10% of the Americans who identify themselves as Christian nationalists, with another 20% who consider themselves sympathizers with this radicalized political party. Now, the 10% will stop at nothing to achieve what they believe is their God-given duty. And you hear it in the voices of the now dead Charlie Kirk, carried on by his wife, Pete Hegseth, Mike Johnson, and all of their little cronies. But the shadow part they're still not saying, screams at us from their symbol. And what have they made as their symbol? It's a flag with a cross. A flag with a cross. And what does that say to us? It says, this is a Christian nation. Christians are the only real Americans, and white Christian men are meant to rule. The white Christian nationalist pairing of the flag with the cross represents their narrowly defined fundamentalist interpretation of Christianity, reading the scripture, the stories, literally, blended with a conservative politics, consolidating power in the tradition of Constantine. So theirs is a story of exclusivity, a class of special people like the 9 lepers who are free to go back to Galilee to receive blessings from the priests, while the solitary mixed breed, not whole person Samaritan does not deserve blessing. Dear friends, the time is now. The time is now for us to stretch beyond hope, to stretch into action. It is time to stop reacting to the small-minded, petty, vulgar, partisan white Christian nationalist story. It's time to stop bickering about, how we worship, who belongs, what to call God or not God, or what to believe or not to believe. It's time for the 70% of us to boldly embody the story of beloved community. This is what I know. Now is the time for everyone who is not an exceedingly wealthy, well-positioned, white, heterosexual, male, evangelical, Catholic, Christian nationalist to pick up the bullhorn and to call out the shadow, to have courage and do whatever we can to put flesh on the bones of MLK's dream and John Lennon's imagination and manifest Jesus' vision of a new and better story. The story of a world that has no lepers, a world in which everyone belongs and everyone is blessed. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Deborah, for the history lesson. A lesson that many of us in the room know. Am I on? Okay, you can hear me all right? Okay. It ties right into the message that actually is more of a plea that I want to make to the congregation. And I come to you as president of your board of trustees this morning rather than a worship associate. But before I get to my plea, I want, since this is the month where we're expressing gratitude, I want to express how grateful I am to be part of this congregation of people. I truly am. And I am humbled to serve on your board of trustees. And I look out across the room and I know many of you now over the last 2 years. And I've gotten to know you as a thinking, highly intelligent group. Jill mentioned to me as we went to the book sale this year, she said, "Can you believe the caliber of books that are donated to this sale?" You know, you can tell a lot about people by what they read or don't read. You're a compassionate group. You not only care for your immediate families, of course, but you care for one another in the congregation. You care for people everywhere. And you're engaged, you're active, you're involved. You express your compassion, not just in words, but in action. You have ideas on how to make the world a better place to live, where there's more love, where there's more compassion. Years ago, when I was in law school, I worked part-time for a U.S. senator who said something very profound one morning, back in the day when senators said profound things. It was early in his term, and he gathered his staff together, and he looked us in the eye, and he said, "I want you to become a seething cauldron of ideas." A seething cauldron of ideas. What a beautiful metaphor. I think that's an apt description of this congregation. The heat from the cauldron, you can see, maybe not a cauldron on top there, but you can see a boiling pot of ideas. The flame, the fire, the light. We are the light to oppose those things that Reverend Deborah just talked to us about. Light of hope, light of rationality. And here in this congregation, that light shines very brightly. We have the opportunity, and we do, shine that light upon the principalities of darkness that refuse to respect and honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, who eschew warm, loving compassion for cold, calculated power, who in their ignominious plan, sort of benignly named Project 2025, as described a mechanistic society that's completely devoid of humanity. I saw a sign in one of the No Kings rallies. It was a quiz, and this is a quiz, based upon Reverend Deborah's homily, actually. Jesus said, "I was a stranger, and you, A, called me names, B, took me to prison, C, took my children away, or D, invited me in." Now we know the answer to that question. We who, in Abraham Lincoln's words, reach for the better angels of our nature. My plea to you this morning is the board is gathering together some folks for a stewardship campaign to raise the money necessary to keep this operation moving in the direction that is moving. Those financial needs are not minimal, but they're very doable. And we've had a couple folks step forward, and I'm grateful for them. We need 2 or 3 more. It's not an open-ended commitment. There's a starting date. There's an end date, just a couple, 3 months down the road. It starts very soon. But we need that campaign to move so that we can raise the money that fuels UU Santa Fe and keep our light shining, our beacon bright for people who look to us as a hope-filled people, as a people who love one another, as an example of how human beings are supposed to live in community. So if you're willing, please see me or anyone on the board, Leon Winston, John Lehman back there in the box, Adam Wasserman, who's here, Jim Kramer, Lisa Flynn, Reverend Gale, of course, any of us. Grab our sleeve and we can answer your questions, and we really appreciate the help. Now, do we have the offering baskets out? We do. So we will pass the offertory baskets now. We gratefully receive the generous gifts which you provide us every week. Thank you.
Well, that gave us a little life. All righty, we extinguish our chalice to the words of Max Warren. Our first task in approaching another people, another culture, another religion, is to take off our shoes. For the place we are approaching is holy, else we find ourselves treading on others' dreams. Our closing hymn, look in your gray hymnal. It's number 128. For all that is our life, stand as you're willing and able.
our benediction, please hold the hand of somebody close to you and repeat after me. May love and skill be in our hands. May love and courage fill our hearts. May love and wisdom light our minds. As we live our lives and work to heal our world. Amen. Shalom. Namaste. Blessed be. Assalamu alaikum. Ashe. Aho. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you for joining us today, friends. We hope that you enjoyed today's service. Please take a little time and explore our website and visit our online welcome table if you'd like to know more about us. Otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday morning. Stay in touch and be well.